According to experts, ANA's room is supposed to be the best business class product in the skies today. Is this really true, or is this just hype? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go. First stop is LAX's Star Alliance Lounge. As they say in life, first impressions are everything, and your first impression here is the massive and elegantly decorated open space. You'll find multiple sections with various seating types, a staff bar, and nice pieces of modern art throughout the space. My personal favorite is this wall of wine bottles right next to the buffet area. Speaking of the buffet, let's check out the food. What you'll find are a couple sandwich selections, salads, snacks, cheeses, and not a whole lot when it comes to hot foods, but the best part for me was the noodle bar where you can choose from different types of noodles, soups, meats, and toppings. This is what mine ended up looking like. As for non-alcoholic drinks, plenty to choose from between sodas, teas, coffees, and sparkling water. And in terms of alcohol, plenty of choices as well between different types of wines, spirits, and beers. Safe to say that F&B options at this lounge are plentiful. Let's take a look at some of the lounge features. First, the shower, always nice to have, but I'd consider this one very basic. There's also a small media room, basically a separate and darker room with a bigger TV. My favorite feature though in this lounge is the outdoor patio. Now, it's not the biggest and also doesn't have the greatest views, but hey, how many airport lounges do you know gives you a chance to catch fresh air before your flight? I'm definitely a fan. As always, I must now take my leave as I have to catch my flight on ANA's Boeing 777-300 and gotta check out what this hype on ANA's business class, The Room, is all about. And welcome everyone to ANA's Boeing 777-300. As you step on board and enter to the right, you'll find the business class cabin in a 1-2-1 seating configuration layout. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is that the odd numbered rows are actually rear facing. I was honestly worried about this at first since I've never flown going backwards, but I promise you after takeoff you won't even notice at all. A big bonus also with the rear facing seat on the window side, it's actually closer to the window. The forward facing window seats on the other hand are closer to the aisle, and that to me is less private. Today I'm in seat 15A and my initial reaction was wow, everything feels so new. Next, the two big pieces of eye candy that caught my attention. First, the insanely wide seats, and second, the huge IFE screen with a super sharp resolution. Below the massive IFE screen, you also have a wide footwell. Over to the left, there's a small panel that you can place things on top of. For storage, you have a small little cubby, not super deep, but there is a nice vanity mirror inside of it, and a universal outlet and USB as well. The last bit of storage you'll find is a small slot right below the IFE screen, good for small items like your wallet or your phone. As for seat controls, you're able to move your entire seat forward and backward with this little wheel on top, but beyond that, very limited settings and unfortunately, no massagers. Oh, and you also have controls for the window shades, which is always a nice touch to have. One feature I never take for granted is the tray table. I love how this one pulls right out from in front of you. Pretty good size as well, and most importantly slides forward and back so you're not trapped while eating and need to pee really bad. And lastly, they call this room for obvious reasons. I'm thrilled to report that these doors are easy to use and offer a lot of privacy. And gosh, I gotta show you these seats again. Can you lay like this in any business class seat? Only here in ANA's room. It's almost time for takeoff, but before we do, I'm treated with a glass of Duval Leroy Brut Reserve Champagne, then given a pair of slippers to get even more comfortable than I already am, and of course there's the obligatory safety video. Let's break down ANA's business class amenity kit. I love this creative luggage bag design from Globetrotter, and it contains earplugs, eye mask, dental kit, and a facial mist and lip balm from Shiro. Next up, let's take a look at the menu. First, you'll be delighted to see a selection of premium sakis and shochu, and of course you still have plenty of options as far as wine, hard alcohol, and non-alcoholic beverages. With food, you have two options, Japanese menu or the international one. No brainer for me, of course. I went with Japanese as I've heard so many great things about it here. And with this type of lineup of world-renowned chefs, I have a feeling we're going to be in for an extra special experience today. Tray and white cloth table action on. And to kick off today's festivities, I'm presented with this Nanbu Bijin Daiginjo Sake. Say that 3 times fast. It was smooth and crisp, which paired really well with the caramelized nuts and mushrooms I was served. But wait, we're not done with sake just yet. The super helpful FA suggested I also try a glass of their other special sake. It was more on the fruity side, but just as good. Okay, now here comes the first course. Not only were the dishes absolutely gorgeous, but I really appreciated how the FA took the time to describe each dish, just like you'd see at Michelin-rated restaurants. I totally love the wide variety of flavors from these small appetizers. Here's the sesame tofu with sesame cream. Next we have little bits of chestnut, squid, and pumpkin. And lastly, some super fresh sashimi to balance everything out. Now, I'm a huge fan of Air France's food, but this course right here beats every course I've ever had on a flight. I mean that 1000%. Now comes the main course. Once again, the amazing FA introduces all dish components for me. This is just super classy and top-notch service, and truly makes it feel like fine dining. Here's a closer look. Not as bright in color and appearance as the appetizer course. We have miso soup, some Japanese pickles, some rice, and as a big fan of fish, I love how ANA has courage to serve fresh mackerel on a flight, and it definitely did not disappoint. Lastly, for dessert, we were presented with 3 options. Given how wonderful this meal service has gone so far, I couldn't take any chances of missing anything special, so I asked for all 3 dessert options. They were good, but if I had to be nitpicky here for a second, I wish the dessert was some kind of super fancy tart or cake to finish off this special meal. Okay, time to check out the IFE. I always appreciate a modern remote, and this one was responsive as well. As for movies and TV shows, definitely more than enough selections to keep you busy. With the headphones, not sure who makes these for ANA, but fit-wise, it wasn't all that great. The highlight today though is this humongous screen. I usually don't get excited about movies on flights, but when the lights went out, I was so impressed with this setup. It really felt like being in your own private movie theater here. And now for the bathroom review. Definitely spacious, modern, clean, and also stocked with amenities. The showstopper here though is this bidet. If you ask me, this should be a must-have on all business class flights. Before bedtime, let's check out the gear. Pillows are decent, one was squishy and I think memory foam. The other one was just standard. The blanket was just okay, and you get a little mat padding to sleep under as well. It provides some support, but I personally prefer the thicker ones like the Caspers they have on AA's flights. And yes, it is possible to bring this gigantor of a seat into full lie flat mode. All you have to do is press and hold one button. Now, as amazing as the FAs have been so far to me, unfortunately I'm still responsible for tucking myself in. Oh, and don't forget of course to take advantage of the doors you have in your room for complete privacy. After my deep slumber, I wake up, and the very first thought was, more food. This ramen from Ippudo definitely hit the spot. So I was editing flight reviews on my laptop during the flight, and when the FA noticed, she asked me to write the name of my channel down for her. I thought this was rather odd, but little did I know it was part of a scheme. And what was that scheme, you might ask? Just the most thoughtful gift I've ever received in any flight ever. The crew, being as wonderful as they've been all flight, made this personal dessert for me to include on my footage. Special touches like these are ones you'll just remember for the rest of your life. Alright, one last meal before landing, which starts off with a nice cold towel to freshen up. Tray and white cloth table action on for the last time, and I figure the best way to celebrate today's experience is with another glass of champagne. Let's take a closer look now at the dishes on this lovely tray. First, the amberjack. Again, I love how ANA pushes the envelope and adds exotic fishes to their menu. This is also served with spinach, mushroom, roe, Japanese pickles, and finally, miso soup. And just like the other dishes before it, they just knocked it out of the park. My favorite was the amberjack. It was nice and juicy and tender, and also packed with a lot of flavor. As we get ready to land in Tokyo, it's now time for me to give you my full 100% honest take on today's ANA business class experience. First, let's get this out of the way. The room, as this product is called, is the best business class out there. Full stop, no hype. In fact, when I think about my 3 biggest criteria, this may actually be better than some of the first class products out there. First, when it comes to the seat and IFE, both were obviously gigantic. If no one told you you were sitting in business class, you'd think this was a first class seat. Secondly, the food. Hands down, it was definitely first class quality, and you won't find too many meals out there that can give your taste buds a super wild adventure 30,000 feet in the air. Last, and certainly not least, the service and the FAs. The attention to details, like introducing your dishes during the meal service, coming around to greet or check in every so often, and of course a special gift I received, it was truly a first-class service experience at its finest. Above all, this is why ANA is right up there for me in the same class as Qatar. What an amazing experience this was, and I can't wait to fly ANA again very soon.